Hello, I am the Irish guy, and who is lying to you? Lads, we all hate liars, right? I mean, my babysitter used to tell me that I was handsome. Huh? To be fair, he was a 74-year-old babysitter. Never saw him much after that. Well, lads, I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find one lie that each team is telling its fans. Well, actually, no, not quite, okay? Because I don't have proof. I'm not some undercover detective, okay? I'm just some weird Irish gargoyle. I'm not saying these are 100% barefaced untruths. I'm just saying that I personally don't quite believe all of them. There's just some inconsistencies in there. I might be wrong. I am on some of these, because some of these, I'll admit, are a reach. But it's just, to me, these are things that every Premier League club has recently said or are doing that I just don't buy. Right, let's go. Arsenal, no number one. August 2023. Mikel Arteta, after David Raya had joined on loan from Brentford.
We have two great goalkeepers, just like we have two great left wingers, two great holding midfielders, two great strikers. There is no number one, not in any position.
Look, I know that Mikel Arteta was just trying to be nice, telling the world that he has no number one goalkeeper at Arsenal. But I'm sorry, do not insult our intelligence. I realize he didn't want to make Aaron Ramsdale cry, but I'm sorry, these are professional athletes, Arteta. This isn't a 9-year-old's birthday party done at the local bowling alley, where he's upset because he's dropped his cheeseburger on the floor. This isn't like trying to pretend to your kids that you love them equally. I mean, to be fair, mine didn't bother. Yeah, my sister used to get hugs off my mum every night. I was lucky to get a bed. Lads, there is one absolutely clear number one at Arsenal. And ironically, it's not the one who's got that shirt number on his back. There is a number one, and it's David Raya. Arteta looks like he would sooner eat a hamster sandwich than pick Ramsdale again. It's just purely PR speak. And he's probably only saying this out loud to himself, so he can spare himself the guilt of realizing they'd actually trapped Ramsdale into a long-term deal in May, only to immediately replace him 8 weeks down the line. It's a bit like proposing to your girlfriend, and then after a summer of her excitedly telling all her friends and family, you then drop the bombshell that, oh no, I'd prefer it if you actually slept on the couch whilst I go out on Tinder dates. Aston Villa, they have a serious long-term plan. I love the work that Aston Villa have done this season, but I do find it a little hard to take seriously the long-term ambitions of their ownership when they've already dropped a massive clanger in appointing Stevie G. Unai Emery is fantastic, but when he eventually leaves, probably for Real Madrid, if I'm a Villa fan, then I am not too confident in trusting the board to replace him, considering they gave a fat paycheck to some wet weasel from the Scottish leagues. Well, look, this one isn't really a lie. I might be wrong. Next. Bournemouth, none. To be fair, Bournemouth are a lovely little transparent seaside club, so they're the only club in this list who I don't think have any weird lies or anything right now. They're fine. Brentford, Ivan Toney will be sold without a fuss. Yeah. In February of this year, Thomas Frank came out and admitted that talisman striker Ivan Toney will probably be sold this summer and that the club aren't going to stand in his way. I'm not sure why. I'm not calling this a barefaced lie. I don't know. I'm going to put aside my bias that whenever I look at Frank, all I see is Gollum snarling into a pond about the ring. He might be telling the truth, but all the noise coming out of the club right now, indicating that they're going to make it easy for Toney to leave. That they're so thankful for his contribution that they're just gonna roll out the red carpet for him to go. I do not buy that for one moment. Yes, I realize that Toney is out of contract in a year, but do you really think that the Bees are just gonna happily book his Uber for him and kiss him goodbye when he's now a full England international centre forward, who I think will probably bag a goal at the Euros? I mean, Callum Wilson scored in the last World Cup, and the chairman is probably still bitter at the fact that Toney's own recklessness saw him banned from work for 10 months. This just gives me West Ham vibes. Yeah, the owner talked about
not standing in Declan Rice's way. We'll happily let him leave next summer.
Oh no. In June of last year, they turned down an £80 million bid from Man City, and then a week later, £90 million. They also turned down Arsenal's £90 million offer too. For all they knew, when they rejected those bids, those clubs could have decided that he was overpriced and walked away, and suddenly, after all the promises about letting him go, Rice would have been forced to see out the final year of his contract at West Ham, manning £100 million for a player with just 1 year left on his deal. That was not making it easy for him to leave. And I actually think, much like PSG's stupidity and naivety, when they refused to let Kylian Mbappe go, remember when they turned down £137 million bid from Real Madrid when he had just a year left on his deal? Yeah. Have fun watching him walk out the door for less than the price of a banana cupcake in June. I actually think that Brentford are going to have a change of heart and price Toney out of a lucrative move. Trust me, by mid-August, things will have gotten so messy, IT will be going on strike. Brighton, Roberto De Zerbi is in contract talks. Look, this isn't necessarily the Brighton board's fault, and to be honest, it must be an absolutely chaotic mess. They seem to be placing sporting directors on garden leave every 5 minutes. Right now, Paul Jewell, remember that bedraggled oaf, officially the worst Premier League coach of all time. Yeah, his talented son is now apparently, like Dan Ashworth, also spending his days pruning his tulips, licking mud puddles and challenging squirrels to fight. I don't know, I've never gardened in my life. But no, the party line coming out of the club right now is that Roberto De Zerbi is in talks over a new deal. But is he? Really? Are you just trying to force feed hope down Brighton fans' throats? Because let's be real, the Italian is not staying long. He has been massively distracted by all this paper talk, linking him with Liverpool, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man City. I've never actually seen a football manager be so openly distracted, because their form has fallen away ever since all that talk started. They haven't actually put 2 league wins together since September. We're just stomped on by Roma in Europe, and now probably won't even finish in the top half. It reminds me of when Roberto Martinez took his eye off the ball at Wigan after having secret meetings with Aston Villa and Liverpool. And guess what? They wound up relegated. De Zerbi is officially in contract talks, but look at his CV. He never stays anywhere long. Burnley, no bus stop. Lads, there have been no stories of discontent coming out of the Burnley camp this season. So this isn't a lie. It's a lie of omission, I think. One of them pesky white lies. You know, like if you just chose not to tell your wife that, yes, the reason you were late for dinner last night was because you were too busy spooning with a homeless bloke behind the local Burger King. With Burnley, there have been no leaks of a training ground bus stop, which is marvelous. The Burnley training ground is about as secure as MI5. I mean, they could have an alien living in the canteen fridge, and nobody is ever finding out because I am so sure that the Burnley camp must be fractured. We have seen Vincent Kompany get angry when he was the Anderlecht boss. We have seen Craig Bellamy sacked by Cardiff for apparently bullying kids. I could not imagine that those two stalwarts of the game, where professionalism and standards were to a T, they surely cannot be accepting these awful performances with a smile on their face. Lads, as a player, Bellamy would fall out with you if you sneezed near his scone. I mean, he had actual scraps with Newcastle coach John Carver in an airport lounge. You can't tell me that neither he nor Kompany have snapped yet and gotten personal. It all looks hunky-dory from the outside now, but I am telling you, once these two have finally left Burnley, somebody is going to come out and tell the world that everybody lost respect for them after earlier in the season Bellamy, I don't know, forced Josh Cullen to eat his lunch out of a shoe. Chelsea, Todd Bowley is committed. Yeah, pretty simple this. Todd Bowley has pretty much told the world that he is the next head honcho of this club, that Chelsea are in the right hands, he's here for the long term, and is going to make all the brilliant decisions required to bring them back to the pinnacle of world football. That is the message, but in reality, he apparently will step down as Chelsea chairman in 2027. That is being leaked in the press. There is apparently an agreement where a representative of joint owners Clear Lake Capital will take on his role instead. What sort of lukewarm commitment is that? He's only here for 3 more years. He ain't overseeing any success. He's a temporary custodian. Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson was happy to go. I found this one really unappetizing. Roy Hodgson is a sweet, lovable little old man. He's like that nice, doddery old granddad of yours. And yeah, the narrative coming out of Crystal Palace when he left was sickly and self-serving. Look, the narrative was twisted to make it seem like Hodgson fell ill in February. He was admitted to hospital and so was happy to step down and just pass the reins on to Oliver Glasner. It wasn't true though, was it? We have seen managers in the past be forced to step down due to ill health in the past, like Joe Kinnear at Newcastle in 2009. Rest in peace, by the way. But this wasn't that. This stunk of when Steve Bruce was charitably afforded his 1,000th Premier League match by the new Newcastle owners, letting him dress up in one of his only suits that didn't have donut stains on the front, before then sacking him. Hodgson was given his 200th game in charge of Palace against Chelsea, and then they went out there to get Glasner. Before Hodgson went to hospital. Before he even had a cough. This wasn't a case of Hodgson getting sick and then, in emergency circumstances, having to quit. He was already getting the boot. To me, it just looked like Palace had taken advantage of Hodgson's flu to sort of be like,
oh, well, it's not safe for him to continue work. I guess it'll have to be replaced.
no, you were already sacking him anyway. He'd have read about it on his hospital bed. To me, it's just so unfair. Everton, Dele Alli is injured. I feel incredibly sorry for Dele Alli. And I might be wrong. I might well be wrong. I don't feel confident about this theory at all. Because he's surely injured, right? For all I know, the poor guy might actually be in the middle of a horror injury. But all I'm saying is I would not be shocked to find out that it's all been a smokescreen. Ever since he was signed from Spurs, we have always had the media, even back in the Frank Lampard days, ramming it home how Everton will owe Spurs £10 million if he makes 20 Premier League appearances. I mean, apparently it goes all the way up to £40 million. Not really sure what he'd have to do for that to happen. Get Everton into the Champions League? But yeah, Okay, so the season where Ali picks up the worst injury of his career, ruling him out for the entire season. Oh, it just so happens to coincide with the one where Everton have been docked precious points for overspending. Everybody at Everton is terrified at having to cough up an extra £10 million to Spurs. Ali is just 7 appearances shy of 20 games, and his contract is up in June. I don't think it would make a difference if Ali was fit. Everton are in no financial shape to be willing to forfeit £10 million to just hope he comes good again. Lads, Sean Dyche could have Lionel Messi in his squad. If his game time depended on the club being burdened by an extra £10 million that they had not accounted for, then guess what? Messi would be sitting at home on the PlayStation every day too. Ali might really be injured, yes, but I just get the vibe that Everton might be trying to pretend that he doesn't even exist. Even him sitting on Monday Night Football, catching up with Pochettino and giggling after his team lost 6-0 to Chelsea. I have never felt that a club and a player were so emotionally detached than that. Ali might be injured, but I would not be surprised at all to find out that it's just been an excuse so Everton don't have to embarrassingly admit to the public that they don't think he's worth playing for the sake of an extra £10 million, which is just sad if true. Fulham, João Palhinha has no release clause. Okay, so here we have João Palhinha signing a new contract at Fulham until 2028. He signed it in September, 2 weeks after his Bayern Munich dream transfer collapsed. And guess what? The big huge takeaway in the media was that, oh no, he doesn't have a release clause. I don't buy it. This is someone who's literally having photographs taken for Bayern Munich's club website wearing their kit. He was 95% mentally checked out of Fulham. You don't suddenly decide 2 weeks later that actually, oh no, you are fine with spending the next 4 years of your career in Premier League mid-table. No chance. There might not be an official release clause, but there must be some sort of gentleman's agreement or something where he's allowed to leave if a Champions League club comes in with a £50 million bid. I mean, come on, he's 28 years old. Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp has burnout. Look, I would never choose to disrespect a man mounted of a legend, such as Jurgen Klopp, but refusing to take his word at face value when he says that he's leaving Liverpool because he's tired. But the more I think about it, are we sure? Are we sure there isn't more to it than this? Lads, when legendary football managers leave huge clubs after a mega successful stint, we don't often get the real reason until months after the fact. When Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, his statement was saying that it was important for him to bow out of the club in the strongest possible shape. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until he released his book 6 months later that the real reason came out, that he chose to quit to comfort his wife after her sister had died. Arsene Wenger left Arsenal in 2018 because he'd had enough. The time was right. Yeah, the dust settles and we then find out that he actually jumped because he feared the sack from the Arsenal board. Wenger didn't want to leave. I think there is more to it than burnout. This doesn't feel like burnout. When Klopp was burnt out at Dortmund, it was dramatic and it showed. They were bottom of the league at Christmas when they'd been in a Champions League final the previous year. Liverpool are very much in a title race and have looked great for most of the season. I don't see a lack of energy from Klopp. Do you? Come on, he signed a contract extension just 2 years ago. He even said this at the time.
Do I have the energy and vibe to give of myself again what this amazing place requires from the person in the manager's office? I didn't need too long to answer in truth. The answer was very simple. I'm in love with here and I feel fine.
I'm in love with here and I feel fine. 18 months later and he's announcing he's off. Now, I think the real reason is going to come out eventually, and my guess is that he's had a row with the board. I don't think this is burnout at all. Luton Town, Ross Barkley's contract length. Well, this is simple. Luton Town have just point blank chosen to refuse to disclose how long Ross Barkley's contract is. Again, it's a white lie. Surely it's a lie of omission. He's clearly only signed a 1-year deal at Luton. The same thing that Jay Lings did at Nottingham Forest. It's just Rob Edwards doesn't want anyone else to know this. He's too embarrassed to admit that Barkley is only using him as a stepping stone for a year. Come on, it's kind of obvious. Man City, innocent of all charges. Look, I'm not one of these angry meatheads who screams, cheat, 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 whenever they see Man City. Now, I'm not going to sound like Kyle Walker's ex screaming at him on the bus, but come on, this is a club who have protested their innocence against every single one of their 115 charges for breaching financial regulations. Really, City? Are you really innocent of all of them? Come on. We're all friends here. Do you know how unlikely that is? I'm not saying City are cheats or guilty of all, or even most. I don't know. And this could be absolute muddy hogwash. But come on, are you telling me you didn't bend even the slightest of one of those 115 rules? Is there not one thing you're guilty of in there? By the law of averages, there should be at least one. Lads, if right now you accuse me of 115 crazy different things, just making up allegations about me, trying to get me cancelled, well, I mean, you probably have to get more than 50k views to get cancelled. Well, lads, 1 or 2 are probably going to be correct. Like, you could make up a whole load of crazy stuff. Like that every Friday night I pop down to my local graveyard to dig up a skeleton so we can dance together under the moon. You could say that I got a cupboard full of Powerpuff Girls merchandise. Or you could say that I have inappropriate fantasies about the monkey off the Cocoa Puffs box. Yeah. 1 or 2 of those are going to be correct. Come on, City. Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't pay Roberto Mancini more than you disclosed? I won't judge you if you did. Man United leaving Old Trafford. Look, when a new owner comes in, they want to excite the fans, right? Arsenal said they were leaving Highbury in 2006 to compete with Europe's elite. Yeah. They've won 5 Champions League knockout games since 2006. Clearly that was all complete rubbish. And simply, Jim Ratcliffe has said that he wants to knock both Liverpool and Man City off their perch. And he also said that Old Trafford has become tired and that he plans to rebuild a Wembley of the North. There will be no stadium to rival Wembley in Manchester. I'm sorry, but no. A new build will cost between 1 billion and 2 billion pounds. Considering Arsenal moving to the Emirates actually financially restricted their chance to compete for about 15 years, then Ratcliffe, in the world of FFP, you cannot do both. You either put all your energy into building a new spaceship of a stadium, or you try and wrestle back the Premier League. You cannot financially do both. You just can't. This isn't quite like when Blackburn's new owners promised them Champions League football in 2011. It's just more PR guff. Newcastle, due diligence on transfers. Lads, Dan Ashworth is a man in demand right now by Manchester United. Again, someone putting up weeds in his garden. Well, I don't know. Newcastle are trying to make themselves look like a proper, well-run club right now. Well, look, it's not an outright lie, but they're making it seem like they do their due diligence on all transfers. Now, this is not the same Newcastle United that used to sign players based off YouTube clips. Well, come on, signing Sandro Tonali from AC Milan for £60 million when he had a looming incoming investigation from FIFA. That wasn't smart. Lads, this Italian midfield maestro made 50 bets even after signing his Newcastle contract. I'm not saying anybody in the Newcastle transfer department knew about this. No, they probably didn't, or they wouldn't have spent the money. But to act like you didn't just completely wet the bed with this transfer, that's spending so much money on a man literally weeks out from a huge worldwide ban. It was sloppiness beyond belief. Just admit it. Nottingham Forest, they care about the fans. So Nottingham Forest are a club who've given every indication that they care about the fans so far. But do they? Because just weeks after they were slapped for supposed FFP breaches, this club have now chosen to hike up season ticket prices by 28%. A trial season ticket has now increased by 111%. So hang on. If you are indeed found guilty of the FFP breaches, then your solution is to punish the kids?
Won't somebody think about the children?
Pricing out children. Is that really the business model now? Because you signed 50 players in a month. The most expensive adult season ticket next season at Forest is now £850, up from £660. The cheapest one has increased from £465 to £550. Lads, Forest could be in the championship next season. How on earth could a championship season ticket be significantly more expensive than a Prem one? Sheffield United, Chris Wilder has an 18-month contract. Again, this isn't a massive lie, but I don't know. Chris Wilder has an 18-month contract at Sheffield United. I'm sure he does, but it indicates that he signed up to be a coach in the championship next season. Am I the only one who can see that he's clearly having such a weary, unhappy time at Bramall Lane that he's clearly going to quit in May? No way he's going to be happy to continue working with this beaten up squad next year. Surely not. I think this contract is disingenuous. Tottenham, Harry Kane didn't leave for trophies. Yeah, so this week, Ange Postecoglou has come out fighting. Not only has he accused Eric Dyer of lying about his training methods, but he's also challenged the reporter who asked if Harry Kane had left Tottenham because he wanted to win trophies. Postecoglou has said,
"Oh no, Kane just wanted a different culture, a fresh challenge. It's not that he didn't believe he couldn't win trophies here."
No, it is that, Ange. He has played nearly 500 games for Spurs, never won a sausage. His team spectacularly imploded a year ago, losing 5 of the last 8 league games. Kane did not leave Spurs because he wanted to live in Germany. No, he absolutely left because he didn't think he'd win anything at Spurs. West Ham, Moyes has been offered a contract. Look, I might be wrong here, but David Moyes has said that he has been offered a contract extension at West Ham, and that it's him choosing not to sign it until the summer. You'd excuse me if I scoff like a confused hyena. Sorry, David, that doesn't make sense. This reminds me when Sam Allardyce was kicked out of West Ham in 2015, and he told the media, "Oh yeah, no, it's fine. I didn't want to stay honest." Really? You wanted to move from London to Sunderland? West Ham's ownership group has always been attracted to a higher caliber of name. It's why they sacked Moyes once already for ex-Real Madrid boss Manuel Pellegrini. I mean, with most of the West Ham fan base now having turned against Moyes, and with the likes of Mourinho and Tuchel out of work in the summer, no way, surely they haven't offered him a new deal. This is just David trying to save face? Because it's even weirder by the fact that Moyes hasn't immediately signed. So you're telling me, instead of securing his future at an ambitious, top-half Premier League club regularly in Europe, he's choosing to wait 6 months, and with each week he leaves it, the fans are screaming for his sack more and more. With every passing day, he's risking the owners pulling the contract away from him. Don't get it. Moyes is not getting a better club than West Ham. Just admit it, David. There is no contract that's been offered. It's a bit like when a weird 13-year-old at school tries to save face by pretending that he kissed a girl on holidays. Okay, I was that 13-year-old. Wolves, Gary O'Neill is a good manager. No. Anyway, me that Stephen David. What is the lie you've been told? Let me know in the comments again. These are not all facts. None of them are. These are just my interpretations, my guesses, and I'm probably wrong on every single one. But let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.